when we have spent so many years in survival and so many years in struggle and problem solving to finally get to a place of feeling good can actually feel really bad at first. Oftentimes, our receivers are blocked. We are a natural state for abundance, but we have these walls up, and abundance is always trying to make its way to us. Every single moment of every single day, what I want you to remember, there is nothing more that you have to do or say to be more deserving of abundance and to receive that. You were born as a natural state to abundance, and it really is just coming back home to that. Welcome to the Jamie C. Show. Today we are talking all things the feminine business model. I am so beyond thrilled to be even talking about this because the way that we have access to passive revenue I am beyond excited. I don't even know where to start, honestly, because I actually was creating a video recently and it was a download that just kind of popped into my brain where it was this immense gratitude of how we have access to receiving wealth and abundance without the exchange of time back and forth, because many of us have been raised to believe that we are only kind of deserving of receiving wealth if our output is attached to it. And I think that there's something so beautiful with being able to have access to taking our education, our lived experience, our soul work, our passions, and being able to package them up and put them out into the world that don't require your one-on-one time. And yes, it will take some time to build, but I think that when you think about building something that can make you potentially impact and revenue for years to come, it's one of the most beautiful things you can pour your energy into and refine over time. And I will say that as a woman who has 2 babies, I can't even tell you how grateful I am to be able to have the opportunity to have people having wins across the world, and then also to be able to make a sale at any time of day and feel fully worthy and deserving of receiving that. That process, that feminine way of receiving, is something so important to integrate into, because there are probably so many stories that you have that either you've been told from being raised by, you have to work hard, money doesn't grow on trees, you have to work really, really hard to have something that you can hold on to, something that is being able to essentially say, I wear my hard work like a badge of honor. And a lot of times I've even found myself in the past, while kind of really rebuilding my relationship with fully receiving, without having to say that I worked hard for it. And not to say that I don't have a work ethic, I absolutely do. But there's something that is to be said when someone comes up to you and says, "Oh my gosh, everything's going so amazing. Oh my gosh, that's so great. I see you, you're doing amazing things." And your response is, "Yeah, I worked really hard for it." Like it's a badge of honor. That's the only reason that you deserve that praise or acknowledgement, is because it came with hard work. I think there's a difference between recognizing that you can have a really beautiful work ethic and work intentionally and have grit and have grind and do those things, but not at the expense of your mental health, not at the expense of your physical health. And when anyone says, "Hey, you're doing amazing," you can just say thank you and receive that without having to have your hard work be the exchange for why you deserve good things. So when we think about, especially me as a woman and anyone identifies as a woman, with the type of things that we either have been told growing up, the things that we maybe didn't have access to, the things that our mothers or grandmothers didn't have access to that now we have access to, is something that I don't ever think that we should take lightly. The ability for us to be able to rest and receive and to be able to stand in our powers and still use our voices is a beautiful privilege to have. I think about all the times of being able to take my work or teaching my clients inside of my programs to package up their work and put it out into the world to help other people. Not only is it something that it lives beyond your first launch, it lives beyond your second launch, it lives beyond that, thinking about years down the line about what you're learning and what you're able to put out into the world, and the impact it not only has on you and your family, and also the rest and the relaxation and ease that you can have knowing that you built something that can work around the clock for you, but what you're able to also pass down that your mother or your grandmother was never able to pass down to you. Think about the ability that we have now as people who are able to take our gifts and put them into a passive machine, essentially. Our grandmothers didn't have access to that. We are quite literally the first generation to ever have access to this kind of abundance and opportunity. And it's readily available to anybody, especially those who are truly willing to see the value in their work and to know that their work is meant to be in the hands of so many more people than just your one-to-one client roster. So I want to think about the actual receiving aspect of this, because oftentimes we think about the output, we think about the building, we think about the doing. We have to market ourselves, put the programs together, launch it, put it on a passive funnel. The actual like masculine side of that, right? The structure of doing that. And then we actually have to think about the byproduct of that. When you are putting your heart and your spirit and your soul into something and you show up authentically as yourself, that is your most magnetic aspect of you, is when you are standing in your full authenticity and you have this masculine structure that can support you, and that goes out and works on repeat for you. When that's working really well, when you are standing there and you are saying, this is the work I believe in, I want you to experience it, oftentimes it's the receiving side of that. Like you're asking at that point, there's the ask and receive. Like you're asking, hey, this is something that I want you to experience. Come on in, right? You're inviting people. But then to be able to hold it and to experience that overflow is something that is a completely different conversation. What I want you to remember is that there is nothing more that you have to do or say to be more deserving of abundance and to receive that. You were born as a natural state to abundance, and it really is just coming back home to that. Oftentimes, our receivers are blocked, which means that we are a natural state for abundance, but we have these walls up, and abundance is always trying to make its way to us. Every single moment of every single day, it quite literally is like knocking on the walls that we've built up around us, saying, can I come in now? What about now? Can I come in now? What about now? What about now? I like to imagine those walls as like not concrete walls, but like little cardboard box walls. Just go tick, like they're just easy to pop down, right? Just can lay flat really easily instead of having to like hammer through something, right? So even visually, just thinking like it's very easy to put those walls down, we have to think about the receiving aspect of that, okay? Because if you are going to put your work out there and it's going to reach thousands of people, and it's going to help thousands of people, you have to be able to hold the reciprocal energy of that. You can put it out, but can you receive it? Can you hold it without deflecting, minimizing, or pushing away? So a way that I want us to kind of first analyze this is kind of the energy audit of your receiving. Your receiver, essentially, you want to think about it like your heart, okay? So if you have a closed receiver, your receiver is essentially a direct link to how much joy you're willing to receive, how much of the present moment and gratitude you're willing to receive, how much love you're willing to receive, and how much abundance and overflow, how good you are allowing yourself to feel without pushing it away, minimizing it, or saying, I haven't worked hard enough to receive that. An easy way to kind of audit this is, how do you feel when someone says, you look beautiful? How do you feel when someone says you're doing amazing, or I love your shirt? Do you at any point feel uncomfortable or try to minimize it by saying like, oh my God, the shirt, like I got it off the clearance rack. Like instead of just saying thank you. Someone says your hair looks beautiful. You're like, oh my God, this, like I haven't washed it in 5 days. What do you mean? Instead of deflecting, minimizing it and saying, I don't really deserve that. Think about every time someone says that to you as someone handing you a gift, a beautifully packaged, beautiful gift. They picked out the wrapping paper. It has a really shiny, perfect bow on it. And they're handing it to you. And they're saying, you're beautiful. You're incredible. You're amazing. Thank you for existing. Thank you for being amazing. And what you do is you just go, bap, smack it out of their hands, onto that, step on it. Imagine that every time that you say, my hair is dirty, or this, just say thank you. Practice just saying thank you without making yourself feel smaller, without trying to push it away. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but eventually you can just sit and say thank you over time. So that's just an awareness and then implementation of all. Your voice is going to be like, but I want to say something else. Just practice saying thank you. I'm going to actually share a personal story with you. I remember when I was in my first 2 businesses, I was showing up consistently online. I kind of had this kind of blinders up, just like really, really dialed in. I wasn't allowing anyone to, I would say like family members. I wasn't like, even if they said anything, I would just be like, okay, I'm not following anybody online. I'm just going to post the things and do it. And then, my father is the type of person who is kind of like the glue to our family. He's always planning the family picnic. So we had a family picnic, and I show up at my dad's house, and, I had not seen cousins in a while, and they came up to me and they saw me online and they were like, "Oh my God, you're doing an incredible thing." Like, "Oh my gosh." Like, I think they had said, "You're so successful." And every single cell of my body just shriveled up on itself. Like a grape became a fucking raisin. Like I just, like, oh gosh. And I just could feel myself saying, "Oh my gosh, no, it's like not that big of a deal. Like everything's fine. It's okay." And I remember me just feeling so uncomfortable being seen and receiving love and receiving praise. And it was something that was really interesting because once I realized it was happening, I realized how it was happening in every area of my life. And I want you to think about it. If we are blocking ourselves to love, if we are blocking ourselves from receiving gifts, if we are blocking and minimizing, how can we see the actual process of receiving money without deflecting, minimizing, or shutting down? Because they're all tied together. What I want you to do is I want you to audit how you feel receiving a compliment, and just audit that for a moment, see how you feel, and practice that implementation and awareness of any time someone's giving you praise. Think about it like a gift, that perfect little packaged gift, boop. And imagine just taking it and holding it and saying thank you. And then ask them how they're doing. You don't have to make a big deal out of it like I used to all the time. It eventually feels easy now just to say thank you. I also want you to recognize the aspect of receiving, because a lot of times this is a conversation that isn't talked about very often, but I think is probably one of the most important things to take into your journey of receiving overflow. Is that I kind of said it briefly before, but how open are you to feeling good finally? How many years have you seen yourself as someone who is suffering, who had it hard, or who struggles? And how willing are you to think about a life that feels good finally? How does it feel to regulate into a space of recognizing that you are allowed to feel good and you are allowed to receive wealth, that your bank account gets to be an overflow, that you get to be a powerful person with a big heart? How does it feel? Because oftentimes when we have identified with struggle for so long, or just making it through, just having enough, that even though we're calling in something good, it feels foreign, it feels dangerous to our bodies. When we have spent so many years in survival and so many years in struggle and problem solving and having to survive, and to finally get to a place of feeling good can actually feel really bad at first. And what I want you to do to be able to alleviate that is to be able to feel good now. And the most simple way of doing this is and I'm going to talk about the science of why this is so important from a nervous system perspective, but one actionable step, we're leaving with 2 today, is the awareness and implementation of receiving just a basic compliment, a beautiful compliment, a heavily loaded compliment, however you are perceiving this, and being able to just say thank you and just sit with the discomfort that comes up with it. It's okay. And make sure you're breathing through that process. And then the second thing is, when we are actually doing our best to regulate our bodies to feeling good now, is to allow ourselves to be in the moment, in like the actual present moment, and to allow ourselves to purposely find more good. So for example, whether this is when you wake up in the morning, I would actually probably say the moment you find like a break in your day, maybe it's like right when you're about to go to bed, or maybe it's in the morning, or maybe it's in the afternoon, or maybe the time you would scroll on your phone instead. And I want you to just sit, and I want you to get a piece of paper out, and I want you to write a full gratitude list of everything that's working for you. And I want you to sit with that. If you want to put on some music and like allow some emotion to flow through, if that's like easier for the emotion to come through, and be able to sit in abundance, sit in the good, even if everything that you are still desiring is not here yet. Because when we are constantly used to feeling lack and then abundance arrives, we can have a very unconscious way of pushing it away or making it go away faster. So again, I want to repeat that this is a beautiful gift that you have been born into. You are the first generation that has this accessibility, this opportunity, and I hope you take it. I hope that you are the first person in your generation that sees the opportunity of abundance and overflow, and finally believes in their gifts, and finally uses their voice, and says, these are the things I'm no longer willing to hold anymore from past generations. And also, if you did have a good relationship with those ancestors, maybe even people that you haven't met, honoring those that really wish they could have had this opportunity. I think it's a really beautiful thing to be able to think about, how can we honor those that came before us, and how can we be the change maker to prepare our lineage moving forward to know what they no longer have to deal with, what they no longer have to do. I'm personally actually teaching my 11-year-old right now how to have the options of passive revenue just by following her gifts and doing the things that she loves. And a lot of you might think like, why would you ever even be teaching an 11-year-old how to make money, right? But at the end of the day, I want her to know that she has options. She can go to college if she wants to. She can go to get a job if she wants to. She can also not have to do that. And when you have something laid out for you, you get the full autonomy to choose which path feels most in alignment for you, and that you are deserving of all of it. I was raised by two parents who didn't go to college, and they saw the successful path laid out as college, 9 to 5. And that was not anything that I wanted to do. And I remember I wanted to be a hairstylist. That was something that I felt really, really passionate about that season of my life. And I think the exact thing I was told was like, that's not what smart women do. And I want to be able to raise children with the tools to be able to carry wealth at any season of their life. And that is something that you also get to teach them. The skills and tools that you take on now, that you embody now, is something that you can pass on. And I just think that's a really beautiful thing. I think it's incredible. So again, to be able just to recap just a bit, I want you to be able to look at any time a compliment or any kind of praise, actually, just any praise at all, coming in like a beautiful, perfect present, and receive it. Just say thank you. Do not diminish, minimize, or push away. And then also daily to take at least 5 minutes, stretch it out more if you can, but if you only have 5, that's a perfect place to start. And just practice sitting in the good now. Write a full list of everything that is here and available for you now, so that when more comes in, it doesn't feel dangerous to your nervous system, because this is a perfect opportunity to expand your body and feel worthy and deserving of everything that is happening for you right now and as it comes in. Not, I will only feel good when it comes in, or I will feel worthy and deserving of it when it comes in, because that is conditional. We're kind of creating these conditional results on our business and our results. And you deserve to have overflow now. And it is existing now, but often our brains will find the opposite of that unless we intervene and find it on purpose. I want to thank you so much for being here. And if you would like to dive in a little bit deeper to learning how to take your gifts and package them up into a passive revenue funnel, I would love to teach you. I have a masterclass below linked in the show notes, and you'll be able to dive right in. I have so many juicy bits on there, and you'll be able to learn exactly how to take a piece of your work, put it into a passive funnel, and be able to learn how to get that up in 50 days. So thank you so much for joining me, and I love that you're here. Thank you.